Hello, happiness abounder, and welcome back. So yesterday went a little to the woo side on something we could do in our journal, which is writing a letter and getting one back from our body. So the question is, did you do it? How did it go? Now, today I might be pulling it back just a little bit. It totally depends on your level of woo, but I want to share a story first, and this will totally highlight the benefit of doing this type of letter. So about a year and a half ago, I fell in love with a house. It was on a quarter acre, not a ton of land, but I just fell in love with it. It was a remodel. It was all modernized. I thought it was the house. And when we didn't get it, I was devastated. And I wanted to know why in the world we didn't get this house that seemed so perfect. And I had just learned about this writing technique, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go for it because I'm really upset that we didn't get this house, and I want answers. And so what I did is I wrote a letter to my higher power. And in this letter, I said, I'm really upset. I feel like we should have gotten this house. It felt like everything was coming into alignment. Like we found it, we went and saw it before, like it was barely on the market. We went and saw it, thought it was great, saw it at night. Next morning we went over, we actually ran into somebody who was like showing the house but not there to show it, and they let us in. We got to take a tour of it, we got to see it all before like we had to deal with anybody, and then we put in an offer like right away, and then it all just fell apart. But it just all felt so like perfectly aligned up to that point. So in this letter to my higher power, I said, I'm really upset. I feel like this was the house. This is where we were supposed to be. It had the perfect amount of land. It had everything that we needed. It was plenty of space. It was really modern feeling. It had all the bonuses and benefits that we had been looking for. Why didn't we get it? And here's the second part. Just like writing a letter to our body, which we discussed in yesterday's episode 397, you write back, right? So for me, it was, dear higher power, I'm upset we didn't get a house, blah, 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 blah. Why aren't things going our way? Love, Taylor. And then reverse, dear Taylor. And I started writing everything that came to my mind. And it was cool. Frankly, it's the first time I ever felt like I've had any communication, two-way communication with a higher power. So that was cool in itself. But the things that came to me were really cool. Things like, this wasn't the house for you, but it got you excited to know what you wanted. It's not quite the right time, but it will come soon in a way that you weren't expecting. And I just got a lot of things like that were very clear, very concise, and exactly what I needed to hear. Now, whether you believe in a higher power, a universe, or a best version of yourself, this is a really cool way to open your mind up to the possibilities. Now, if you believe in a higher power, then let's end it there. If you don't believe in a higher power and you're still listening, you could write to a mountain, right? You could write to a rock. You could write to whatever it is. But the point being is that you're opening up your intuition to answers to things that may be different than what you originally would think. So my original thoughts were, why didn't we get this? What's wrong with us? Our life's always going to be this way. Very depressed and angry. And when I wrote this letter, everything I got back was really hopeful and trust the timeline and it'll all work out. And here's the benefits and the silver lining of this situation. And that was really neat. So regardless of believing in a higher power, maybe it's tapping into your intuition or into your higher self, like the best version of you coming out and saying, it's okay. We can pivot, we can move. I'm sure this happened for a reason. And we'll find that out in due time, right? But the cool thing about this is by writing this in your journal, right? We're going to circle it all back. By writing this in your journal, you have the opportunity to kind of keep track of these letters, whether it's to your body like yesterday's episode, or to your higher power, or to the mountain, or whatever it is you want to write to. You have record of kind of that best self and that intuitive self coming out when you're asking questions and seeking answers and a response that go beyond just what you would normally respond or cycle through. So it's a really cool exercise for personal connection, for alignment, and it's a great way to utilize your journal in some kind of a different way than just writing out your experiences. Really, really neat. And last week when I spoke about making a case for journaling, one of those was that if someone were to read it down the line, they'd get a snapshot, a look into your life, a look into how you think, a look into your struggles, and a look into how you work through those struggles. Not perfection, but how you move through these things as a human being that hopefully the person who's reading it eventually loves and respects and is related to, right? Really showcasing that, like, if my grandmother could go through that, I can definitely tackle what's coming through to me now. So really cool concept. Now let's add in there, here are these letters to her higher power or her higher self or whatever it is, and the responses. Holy cow. Grandma was so intuitive. Grandma knew what she was doing. And here's the thing, we all don't know what we're doing. But by tapping into and using exercises like this, we can start to find out the right path for us personally, guided by us and or by our higher power, depending on what you believe. So it's kind of a cool exercise. I highly recommend it. Like I said, my first time was 1.5 years ago, and it was really, really cool. And also, for the first time ever in my life, a time where I felt like I actually had communication and connection with what I believe as a higher power. So really, really neat. And I want to encourage you to try it out. Even if it is like you're writing to the mountain or something that's not necessarily defined in culture as a higher power, but it's what you believe. It's not my place to tell you what to believe. It's not my place to tell you to write to a God, to the universe, or to whatever. You can write to your best self. It's what works for you and what you feel comfortable with to a point, right? This is going to push you out of your comfort zone. But just like the benefits of journaling, this will have several benefits that you wouldn't have been able to find if you hadn't started exploring these different exercises and tactics to tap into your intuition, become more emotionally managed and aware. So I'm going to leave you with that today. Let me know if you like this episode. Make sure that if it resonated, you share it with a friend so that it can resonate with them as well. And be sure to rate, review, and subscribe on your listening platform of choice. Specifically, if you listen on Apple Podcasts, be sure to leave a review. It makes a big difference in helping other people find this podcast and join our Happiness Abound community. So that said, have a wonderful day. Try out this letter writing thing. I'd love to hear how it goes. And above everything else, remember, you are capable of happiness abound.